Okay, so we are back. You are back with us. Group awesome. We have been collaborating for a good hour now since class ended. We've put together our minds and kind of drummed up what it means to be a maker and how we relate to makerspace environments. And we're just going to start off with the first question, which is, are you a maker? And I'm going to drum it up with, yes, we're all makers. We came to the conclusion that in different ways we are extremely hands-on in nature. We're constantly making and promoting inquiry. And the best part is in a lot of ways, we aren't like makers with technology. We are true makers. We are using things that are a little bit outside of the box, and we're kind of reinventing the wheel. So I'll just start us off real quick, 30 seconds. For me, making kind of starts with woodworking and repurposing things. So this was my daughter's old crib. We bought about a $300 crib for each of my daughters. I have twins, so it's $600 in cribs, not very good. And they're going to a landfill because cribs you can't really resell. It's kind of a sketchy area. It's one of those products you kind of just got to get rid of. And I managed to make it into a puppet theater, and my girls absolutely love it. It's got chalkboard paint. They can make it into a lemonade stand. They've made it into a sale stand for ponies. They've made it into all sorts of stuff. And this was completely free. I had the paint, I had the wood, and it's in our living room today. It'll probably be there for years. So I'm going to segue here to Sam, who's going to kind of talk about an awesome kind of making. Sam, go ahead.
Hello. So my kind of making is still making, but it's just a different kind of making. So cooking and baking is making. So I research recipes and then I pick and choose the ingredients from each one that I think is going to work the best together, and then I try it. And then it's not often that you can make your new and improved recipe and have it be absolutely perfect the first try. It takes a lot of altering and trying different amounts of ingredients, and that's the making part. Like, you're constantly questioning. For example, why didn't those tea biscuits or that banana bread rise the way I wanted them to? Or what happens when I substitute cream for milk? And instead of sitting there questioning, you try it. And so another example of a picture I have there is I tried to make these sugar cookie cups, and obviously that was one of the times that it did not work out the way I wanted to. They were still delicious, but there you go. That's how you have to try and try again. So lots of people are makers as far as baking and cooking, and this connects people. So I can't count the number of times I've called people to ask them about troubleshooting a certain recipe. Like, I don't know, like Kristina can definitely back me up on this and even take it further, because I know she gets a lot of recipes from family and makes them her own. So go ahead, Kristina.
Totally true. So if you look at my glorious recipe right here, let's see if I can make it big. Oh, geez. So this is called a focaccia pizza. This is a recipe that my nonna taught me, and it took a lot of tinkering to be able to get it to rise as thick as it is. It's a super thick crust pizza, probably about, let's see if you can see my hand, about this deep. It's a deep dish, and it took some serious fine-tuning, like what am I going to cook it in? How long does it have to sit in the oil and marinate to taste like Pizza Hut crust? Like, there's so many different things that you can fiddle with in experimenting, and literally, like, it's taken me a couple years to get it right, and now it's right every time, but this is all part of the learning curve and the exploratory process in making things. And so aside from baking with Sam and talking with Sam and sharing ideas, one of the things I like to make is music. Now, I haven't done this recently, but if you look at the picture, back in the days I used to write songs, and I won't get too much into it because the real expert here is Hannah, and she's really connected with the whole idea of music, so I'm going to pass it off to her.
Thanks, Kristina. Yep, so the thing that I make the most of is music. And yes, I do occasionally sit down and write my own music, but for the most part, I enjoy playing classical pieces like the one that I'm going to show you right here. If I could just make it a little bit bigger. So this particular piece of music is called Dance of the Marionette, and it is probably my favorite piece to play on the piano. It is so much fun! Oh my goodness. If you play it just the right way, it will, like, you will have that visual image of puppets in your head. And I think for me, like, that is what part of making music is for me. It's not just playing the notes and playing the details. It's making that piece of music your own. Giving it that personal style that makes the listener excited to listen to that piece of music. And for me, never feel more alive than when I'm sitting down playing this particular piece of music at the piano. I've gone over it probably thousands of times. How could I make this better? If I change this forte dynamic into a mezzo forte dynamic, how does that affect the flavor of the song? And how does it make my audience more excited for this particular song? So for me, it's taken me years and years of practice. It's taken a lot of my parents' money to get me to the stage of making, but I'm proud of it, and I love sharing with others too, and I think that's an important part of the making.
Honestly, I didn't even realize, Hannah, until you said music about an hour ago when we first started discussing where we're going to go with this. And I was honestly, you kind of caught me off guard, and I didn't really say anything for a few seconds. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm like, making's like music is massive part of making and exploring and kind of learning new tricks and patterns and tempos and such. So I think it's amazing. I love how you guys connected with that. I have a quick question though for Sam and for Kristina. What do you guys think then? Because I was shocked with your guys too as soon as you had mentioned the relevance to kind of cooking and baking and coming up with recipes. I immediately was like, wow. I'm like, that's a whole other angle that I really didn't think of. So my question is, what do you guys think then? Do you think making or maker spaces should incorporate more of the realities with baking and cooking? And maybe I'll start with Sam because she has a delay, and then we'll go to Kristina.
Hey, so I definitely always feel kind of intimidated by makerspaces sometimes because it all has to do with technology and coding and all that stuff. Well, and while that's really cool, it's still really intimidating, and it sometimes I'm like, okay, what did that teach me? And it's kind of funny that you say that because I kind of would like them to incorporate more. But then now that I'm thinking about it, is this all just inquiry-based learning? Is that just what we're talking about? That's what makerspaces are. Are they the same? They are, right? Kristina, anything else?
Boom, you just exploded that thought. That's amazing. It really is just kind of trial and error, which is, part of what inquiry is, and just discovery-based learning. I mean, like my pizza example, it took me years to get this focaccia pizza turning out right, and with music, the same thing. You can fiddle with it, like Hannah was saying, for years, and it takes you that long to refine your craft. But I think the important thing to remember with all these different kind of maker spaces and just learning through making is that you can't compare yourself and what you create to other people, because I personally struggle with that with music. I would write songs and I'd be like, no, it's not good enough, and I'd shut it down. And I've learned that what you create through inquiry and discovery is something beautiful, and that you shouldn't compare it to others. You should just go with what you're doing and just develop yourself and just, enjoy.
That's awesome, Kristina. 100%. I think we hit the mark for sure. And just those past couple things that were said is exactly it. Like inquiry is the center of maker and making spacing. So what did I say? Making spacing? Anyway, Hannah, I just want to let you know too real quick that with Little Bits, which is a tech play with Makerspace, they have a synthesizer kit. And last week I was using it, and I actually had 2 female students. They were in grade 8, and they were kind of like beatboxing back and forth, and I was like, like trying to get the beat going. It was kind of wicked. And they had like these little tweeters, and they could adjust reverb, treble, all sorts of stuff. And they were basically synthing a beat, and it was kind of cool. So anyway, anything else that we should add? Are you guys all good? We feel good about this? Thumbs up? Do a quick thumbs up to the webcam if we're good. Right on. Okay, so we'll close this out. Thanks so much. This was an awesome discussion, and we'll get this on YouTube. Cheers.